Hi, thanks guys for joining tonight. This is the second night of the WPIAL mechanics meeting. Last night we had 96 people in the meeting. Was well received. Lenny Leeper, Danny Yost, and Dave Moore did an excellent job presenting the material that you're going to see tonight. The only thing I'd ask is if you have any questions, please put them in chat and we'll answer them as the speaker's done. Andy could tell us who's going to be on, but he's evaluating basketballs tonight. So he, as you know, he's the PIAA district rules interpreter. Vince Sortino will shortly join us. He's also at a site somewhere. He forgot. He said he'll be on a little late. How we're going to start this is Dave Kernan. Let me introduce myself for those that don't know me. I am the District 7 male officials rep. And we did a mechanics clinic in football. We did a mechanics clinic in basketball. They were very well received. So I approached Lenny and Andy, and they were more than happy to put together material along with Danny Yost and Dave Moore so that we can get together all on the same page. So if Lenny and I work together, a game together, we all know what two-man mechanics are. If myself and Dan Yost work together, or Dan works with Dave Moore, then we're all following the same two-man mechanics template. These will be recorded. Yes, last night's session was recorded. Tonight's session is being recorded. We'll send those when they're done. We'll send the links off to the chapter secretaries and rules interpreters so that they may be viewed at any time by any member at anywhere at their convenience. If you're on last night's session, tonight's session is the same as last night's. We'll start the proceedings off with our guest from Officially Sports, Mr. Dave Kernan. He is one of the people you deal with down at Officially Sports. And Dave, it's all yours, sir.
Great. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate the time tonight. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to promote the company a little bit, let you know that we're open, ready to help serve you to get ready for the upcoming spring season. We are open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then every Saturday in March, we'll have some hours from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you need to get anything ready for the upcoming season, we got everything ready to go for you. Hats, jackets, pants, shirts, we're ready to go. And also for those of you that attended the PIAA spring virtual convention, with your registration fee, you will receive a $25 gift card from Officially Sports. So when you do register, if you haven't received it already, give the PIAA a few days as they accumulate the names over 2 or 3 days, and then they forward them over to us, and then we distribute the gift card. You can use that gift card online, officiallysports.com. You can give us a call, or you can use it in the retail store. Any problems or concerns or issues using the gift card, please don't hesitate to call us. We can certainly walk you through it or help you get that taken off your order. But again, it's a great clinic. I was on last night. The guys did a nice job. Thank you for always supporting us. Again, Officially Sports wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for all you guys and ladies out there. So again, I appreciate your time tonight. Have a great clinic. And Nick, thank you very much for the time. Appreciate it.
Dave, you're welcome. And hey, guys that attended the clinic, we all know you need a new baseball hat every year. You need a new plate hat or a base hat. That $25 will come in handy, guys. So a couple of things before we get started with Lenny. The PIAA website was having issues yesterday. If you did not get your third session in for the clinic, okay, you needed to do 2 general sessions and three sports specific sessions. They have extended that to March 5th. Okay. The other thing too is if you have not paid your state dues, they also have extended the non-penalty deadline till March 5th because they were having problems with the website yesterday. So hopefully you guys all paid your PIAA dues by now. If you don't pay by March 5th, the penalty phase will kick in. And if you don't pay after April 1st, then you'll have to pay a $25 penalty and a $75 reinstatement because you're past the deadline. So hopefully you've all have paid your PIAA dues. And everybody on here, please check your clearances. Your signers are not allowed to assign you games unless your clearances are cleared and you're on the PIAA website. Some of you may have clearances that expire during the season. Please take care of those now, as we won't have any issues moving forward. Last thing I'd like to talk about before I turn it over to Lenny is, I was just talking with Lenny before we started. We are in dire need of umpires, guys. Dire need of umpires. I will go anywhere at any time to give a test so we get bodies, all right, on fields. All right. I don't care if I drive up to Lawrence County. I don't care if I drive down to Uniontown. If you have 2, 3, 4, 5 guys to give a baseball test to, I'll come there and I'll give the baseball test. All right. Try to start recruiting people, folks. Because like Lenny said, he has one day where he has 7 schedules. He has 17 umpires. So, and not all those 17 may be available. So we really need help. All chapters need some sort of, infusion of newer people. So like I said, if anybody, pass the word on, if anybody needs a test, I will do it. But we might do a central location somewhere, but I have no problem coming and giving the test. All right, without further ado, I will pass this on to Lenny now. When Vince comes in, Lenny, I may interrupt you. So Vince is like I said, he's down in Peters Township. So without further ado, Lenny Leeper is our District 7 baseball rules interpreter. Him and Dave and Dan Yost did a fantastic job last night. I will stop talking and it's all yours, sir.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Just a couple items, guys. First of all, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to log in tonight. We had around pretty close to 100 last night. A lot of good feedback. I thought it went pretty well. As Nick mentioned, Andy Catellus, our state rules interpreter, is not on board with us tonight. But I just want to give a shout out to Andy. This was him and Nick's baby. They put it together. They did the bulk of the work, and they're making us look good. So without further ado, I want to go down through, I'm going to cover the 2-man mechanics. Andy's done a great job with these slides, and I encourage you, any rules interpreter that's on, or just the umpires in general, go to the website, go to PIAA.org. There's a lot of great material in there, a lot of training material, a lot of stuff to use for your meetings. As Nick mentioned, this is going to be recorded. It'll be on there for your use, so please take advantage of it. Next slide, Bill. Okay, first thing we're going to discuss, obviously, is professionalism, guys. We all know the saying, you get one chance to make a first impression, but we as umpires get to make that first impression every time we go out there. That being said, when you walk to that field, you walk together, you walk proud, you walk with a purpose, shoes polished, your clothes are pressed, you have a belt, your ball bag is clean, your hat is clean, no stains on it. They're going to judge you every time you go out there. So do it right the first time and do it right every time. Pre-game duties. And obviously this consists of time permitting, but we encourage you as the umpire chief to confirm your assignment with arbiter. It's easy now. You know who your partner is, the site, the time, what you're wearing, where you want to possibly meet in a parking lot or what have you. You ultimately want to try to get there at least a half hour prior. Now we know with work schedules that's difficult. If you can get there 10, 15 minutes prior to, that's fine. But as soon as you can is the ultimate goal. You want to have a pregame. It's important that you have a pregame. Before you have that pregame, make sure that your crew chief has checked with the game director. Usually our regular season games or your athletic director. If not, he's probably have someone there in his place or even a home coach. Let them know you're there. They can relax and so forth. You're going to determine at that point what time you want them at home plate. Not only the AD or site manager, but let your partner know. I recommend getting there around 10 minutes till. That gives them indication to start wrapping up their warm-ups, and you can get that game started on time. Okay, umpire's pregame message before walking to the field. These are several things you need to be going over. The crew chief is going to conduct the pregame talk. The base umpire should not make any suggestions or comments unless otherwise asked. This will help ensure a more efficient and informative pregame. Following bases should be discussed every time. I don't care if you've worked with a guy for 10 years or it's the first time you work with them. Make sure you're on the same page. Go ahead, Bill. Field coverage. And again, these slides are excellent. They're self-explanatory. There's probably about 25 or 30 of them. We'll go down through these. Plate umpire with no runners on base. Here is your outfield coverage. Again, the blackened area is what the plate umpire is going to cover. And I will say this repeatedly. As a plate umpire, it's just more than calling balls and strikes. You're not froze behind home plate. You got to get out, hustle a little bit. It's much easier to make that call and to sell that call hustling than it is parked behind home plate. Your field umpire is going to take easy plays in this area from center field in and over. Okay, base umpire with no runners. Here's your field coverage. Again, there's your blackened area for your field umpire. Okay, he's going to go out on fly balls, the tough plays, including the center fielder up and back. Just much easier. He has a much better angle at it than the plate umpire does. Excuse me. Tough plays are those which an outfielder goes back, converges, or charges in on a ball. And again, we want to be doing this hustling, get to a spot, be stationary, make your call. Runners on first, plate umpire, and your base umpire. Okay, obviously he's come into his infield position. Plate umpire will take all balls in the following area. Okay, basically what we're doing here is just splitting the gap. The gaps from right center to center, from right field to center field to left is going to be the base umpire. The plate umpire is going to take all balls in this area. Now you'll notice the outside black line is indicating a dead ball area, so it's imperative that he gets there as well. U1 will take all balls in this area. Please keep in mind that once you're in, you stay in. Okay, when will the plate umpire go to third base? No runners on base and U1 goes out. That's an easy one. He's got to go, he's got to cover. Runners on first, base hit. Runners on first and third, a base hit. Runners on first and second, and we have tag plays. Now there's exceptions to all of them, and that exception is the ball hit down the right field line. With the base umpire in, obviously he's not making that call. The plate umpire has got to go down, see whether it's fair or foul, whether it's a good catch. And if it's drifting to dead ball area, that's all his responsibility, which at that point, it leaves U1 on his own. Communications and signals, very important. Infield fly, touch the brim of your cap. Time play, touch your wrist. Force play slide roll, palm of one hand down the opposite arm. Possible rotation, point with both hands in the direction of the base you will cover. Double tag rotation, plate umpire will bump fists together with top index finger pointing to third base. And what I would say on all of these, make sure you've made eye contact with your partner. Don't assume that he saw them. Make sure you're both on the same page before the next pitch is thrown. Arriving on the field. As I said before, walk to the field together, you leave the field together. Arrive on the field with a purpose. Walk with confidence, head up, look sharp. You're in an unfamiliar field. You have the time, the opportunity to walk the fence, look for holes in the fence, things sticking up. Visibly inspect the field conditions to make sure there's only one team on the field during infield practice. Very important. Some teams like to kneel outside their dugouts thinking they're intimidating the other team. We can't have that for safety reasons and just for sportsmanship reasons as well. Observe infield practice. As I say in basketball, when we stand out for a pregame, we're not out there standing just to look good. You're looking for uniforms, jewelry, We've had face paint issues the last couple of years where guys want to paint their face too much. Clean that all up before the game. That way we don't have an issue before the pitch is thrown. Determine a pregame meeting time. Again, I suggest somewhere around 10 minutes prior to game, be in and around home plate. It gives the team a good indication to start wrapping up infield practice. Pregame meeting at home plate. Again, very important. The umpire in chief will conduct the pregame meeting. Here's how we do it. Here's your basic positioning for the pregame meeting. Plate umpire is behind, you one's in front, your two coaches off to your respective right and left. Pre-game conference with coaches and captains, introductions. Plate umpire introduces himself and his partner. Have the visiting team manager and team captain, if present. There's no question about if present. He's going to be present. Introduce themselves. Then have the home team manager and team captain introduce themselves as well. Exchange of lineup cards. The plate umpire should receive the home team's lineup card first. He should look it over for any errors. Make sure the substitutes, and again, as a reminder, guys, there's no penalty, are also listed. It just makes your life easier if they are listed. Have the manager correct any mistakes prior to accepting it. Distribute a copy to the visiting manager, then do the same process with the visiting manager. When you take those lineup cards in your hand physically, look them over, hand them back to him, say, Coach, you're good with this. You want to look it over the second time. If he verbalizes he's good, it's now your baby. Pre-game conference with the coaches and captains.
Hey,
Review.
Lenny.
Yes, sir.
Can I interrupt you? Vince is here.
Absolutely.
And Vince has to get back to where he's the game he's at right now. So Vince, go ahead. And so Vince is the assistant executive director in the WPIAL. He's gracious enough to get on today, and he just wants to say a few things from the WPIAL to the umpires. Go ahead, Vince. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Sorry I'm a little bit late. We were just finishing up one game, getting ready for a second game here in basketball playoffs. I just want to welcome everyone back and want to thank everyone for a great year last year and a very difficult season during COVID. As things are opening up, we want to wish everyone good luck, and I want to thank Nick for getting this, Nick and Andy for putting this together. It's so beneficial to our officials. Anytime you're going over any type of clinic information for any of our sports, just to make you better officials on the field, which in turn will make our games better for our student athletes and our coaches and our fans. So thank you for participating in this. Good luck in the upcoming season. And if we can ever answer any questions, we're always available in the office. You could reach out to us or go through Nick if you have any questions. Thank you.
Hey, Vince, thanks for your time. Any questions for Vince while we got him here? All right, Vince, thank you, and talk to you later.
Sorry, Lenny, for interrupting your sounded pretty good for the few seconds that I was listening to it. So you're good.
I was faking it well, Vince. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you logging on again tonight. Okay, gentlemen, reviewing the ground rules, we're going to grant the honors of discussing the field of play to the home team manager. Discuss any needed clarifications. For example, you might have a batting cage down one of the lines. You might have tarpaulin down there and they want to play off of it. You're not comfortable with that. If it's a safety issue, you indicate what you want to do with it, but always rule on the side of safety. Conclude the pregame meeting by reading the PIAA sportsmanship. Nick made a good point last night. You should carry the card with you. Have it with you. Make sure that they can see it visually. If you have it memorized, that's fine. But have it with you. Read it word for word. Don't deviate from it. Don't vary from it at all. And that's for all PIAA sanctioned games, whether it's a middle school game, a JV game, a varsity game. Regardless of what it is, you read that sportsmanship message. Positions to be taken during the national anthem. Pretty simple, behind home plate. Stand at attention facing the flag as a team with a hand held over their heart. And if you are a veteran, you may stand at attention and salute the flag. Okay, gentlemen, what's wrong with this picture? Anybody unmute? Let me know what's wrong with this picture. What's the first thing we see? How about a hand in the pocket?
Plate umpire, not face mask not under his arm.
Correct. We also shouldn't have hats over our heart. It should be the hands. I believe there's a bag of lime or what have you out there. And I think it would look a lot crisper if they were in and around home plate than standing back. Next one, Bill. Working the game as a team, vitally important. Okay, between innings, here's your positioning. And what I like to do as a plate umpire, I stand on the side of the team coming off the field. Okay, good indication, 2 more pitches, catch. It's just part of a speed up rule to keep it going. You get down to 1, tell him 1, and let's get moving. Okay, U1's halfway between first and second on the outfield grass. Just observing, kind of minding your own business. You can get together on occasion. You don't need to do it every inning. You're slowing it down. Don't do it after any controversy. Wait a while. If you go right away, everybody's going to know what you're talking about. And it looks like you're not confident in the call that you had made. Making call third base, batter runner only. U1 makes a pivot. A ball hit into the gap. It could be apparently a triple. First responsibilities, watching the runner touch first base. And he has him to second base as well. Then he comes into third. Now, the National Federation will tell you that the plate umpire takes third base. We do not do that in PIAA. The base umpire takes him all the way. Plate umpire, no runner. U1 goes out. Okay, and again, this is what I talk about communicating. If he's going out, verbalize, I'm out. That plate umpire should pick that up. If he sees his back, he knows his partner's gone. So now we're just doing the opposite. Plate umpire is going to watch the runner touch first base as well as second. And if it's a triple, as well as third. And he's going to have that responsibility the whole way. And he's also got to get his butt back to cover the plate. This is why I tell you, it's more than just balls and strikes, gentlemen. You can't be froze back here. You have to be active. It's 2-man. It's difficult as it is. Help on plays at first and second. Okay, again, anytime there's a ground ball, that plate umpire should be coming out. Face mask off, coming out. You'll see where the positioning is, where they want you, what they want you looking at. First thing he's going to observe is the runner's lane. Is he properly in the runner's lane? Do we have a pulled foot? And if so, if you're asked. Swipe tag, again, does your partner ask you? And an overthrow. Okay, obviously the U1 is going to be hooking in. He's not going to see an overthrow that goes out of play. That's going to be the plate umpire's responsibility. Double play ball. Positioning comes inside a little bit. We want the U1 to hang into second base as long as possible before he turns his head to go to first. That's where the plate umpire could be looking for legal or illegal slides at second base and helping him out with that. Again, get your mask off and be active. Runner on first, plate umpire, base hit. Okay, obviously U1's in the infield. He's going to watch the runner touch second base. He's coming to third. Again, you got to be active as a plate umpire. You got to get up there. Moves up towards third in foul territory. Positions himself, cuts in if you think there's going to be a play at third. Get there, get in position, be stationary, make your call. And get back to the plate on an overthrow. So be active and be alert. Okay, and you'll see this quite often in the slides coming up. If the ball's hitting this area, the plate umpire will take the ball and stay home. U1 will take all plays on the bases. Obvious reasons, U1 is in, so the plate umpire has to take everything out there. Fair or foul on the line, whether it's a good catch, and obviously the dead ball area. Runner on first, plate umpire, base umpire, pick off, run down. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. U1 has got a rundown, and he's running between first and second like a jackrabbit because the plate umpire is parked behind home plate. Again, be active. Get your mask off. Get up that line in that rundown. Move into position when the throw goes away. Be stationary. Verbalize to him. You know, I'm here. I got this. You know, whatever you want to tell him. That way he knows. He knows it's there. It looks good. You've got the runner boxed in. Coming to you, coming to him. Either one of you can make the call. Runner on first, plate umpire, base umpire, double play. Again, we just talked about this briefly. Again, be active. Come out around the plate, mask off. We want U1 to hang in there as long as he can at second base. But again, if we have a bad slide, an illegal slide, that's where the plate umpire is going to help out. It's imperative he's looking at that. And again, U1 should stay with the play, stay with the slide as long as possible, but know that he's got help from the plate umpire. Runners on first and second, tag up on a fly ball. Okay, again, U1 is in position. Plate umpire is going to slide up. He's going to get himself in position where he could see the ball and the runner at second base, both as soon as the ball is touched by the outfielder. U1 is going to try to do the same thing. Obviously, he's got the lead runner, the tag. He's going to have him coming into third as well. R1 will have the tag and a runner at first. So again, it's imperative to try to get yourself into position where you can see the ball and the runner as well. And again, this is what we just talked about. This is kind of the gray area where the plate umpire is going to take everything. And again, it's going to leave U1 on his own. So appeal plays at this point are going to be very difficult because you're just simply not going to be able to see everything. Runners on first and third, tag up on a fly ball. Okay, again, plate umpire is going to be active. He wants to try to get himself in a position where he could see not only the ball, but the tag. U1's going to do the same. And again, there's our gray area that just popped up again. Same given area. U1's going to take, or excuse me, your plate umpire is going to take it. U1 again has all responsibility on the bases. On fly balls, the outfield, the plate umpire moves into foul territory to line up the tag, then move back to the plate. Ideally, fly balls or left field is what you want all day. Fly balls to center field and left field. Right field, it's a little bit more difficult. You got to get a little bit more of an angle. But again, you can't do that parked behind home plate. On base hits, move up towards third and foul ground. Again, you want to be stationary. Get in a good position because you may have a play at third. You want to see the runner touch home plate and then get back to your responsibility of the runner coming into third. Again, be ready to cover the play at third and retreat to the plate if R1 tries to score. Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time. And as Andy always says, it's like a broken record, call strikes. Before I pass it on to Mr. Dan Yost, who is the rules interpreter for West Penn chapter, he's going to cover special situations. I forgot to acknowledge Bill Schottenheimer. Bill put the presentation together for us. He's tweaking it. He's actually handling it. So much appreciated. Bill was on both nights, taking time out of his schedule. So thank you to Bill. If you have questions, gentlemen, give me a buzz offline. Again, as Nick said, beat the bushes. We need umpires, guys. Thank you. Have a good season. I'm always available.
Hey, Lenny, there was one
Yes, sir.
comment.
Yes, sir.
We're during our pregame conference, we're not gonna, ground rules, ground rules do not supersede book rules. All right,
That's
like
correct.
for instance, if there's a ball goes into the tarp down the left field line or right field line, it's gonna be a triple. No, we're not gonna do that. It's gonna be a ground rule double, because that's basically book rule. Ground rules do not supersede book rules.
That's correct. We don't circumvent the book.
All right,
Thank you, Nick.
Andy, go ahead, man.
All right, thank you very much. Good to see everyone on tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of some of the sport unique and special situations you're going to see during a high school game. One, the rule of that, and then two, what you need to do to get out of that situation looking as good as you can look, and turning what could be a spotlight moment on you and making that a positive for you, that you come out looking like a better official for handling that situation in a positive way, in a good way, in a way that shows that you know that you are there to do a job and everyone knows you're there to do a job. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight is going to be the forced play slide rule, obstruction, collision, the box, some of the main box appeals, hit by pitch, general sportsmanship and bench decorum, and then when you actually do have a conversation with the head coach, what you can do to make yourself get out of that situation looking as good as possible, and then the weather situations. So we'll start with the forced play slide rule. There's a bunch of slides here. Bill, feel free just to run through them as you wish. I'll just start talking over all of them. What you need to remember here on the forced play slide rule, in the high school game, the field umpire has the forced play slide call up until the ball is released from, let's just say, second base on a potential double play. The base guy has that forced play slide up until the ball is released going to first base. After that, kind of the fall through of a potential forced play, it is going to be the plate guy that has that call. With that said, the calls we need to get on forced play slides, we need to be getting the obvious ones. We need to be getting the contact by a fielder or by a runner on a fielder 2 feet behind the base because of an overslide. We need to get that raised leg that goes into a fielder's hip. We need to get that rolling blocks slide that takes out a fielder. The marginal ones, it'd be nice to get them, but there's only 2 of you out there. We have a potential double play where that ball is going to be going from the shortstop to the second baseman to the first baseman. The base guy needs to follow that ball on the first base, and the plate guy is probably not going to have a great look as to where that slide is in terms of it being in a direct line between first and second base. So we need to be extra vigilant to get the obvious ones, the ones that everyone in the park can see, but we can't get so focused on forced play slide that we miss the more important safe out at first base on the back end of that double play. So what are we looking for on these forced play slides? We're looking for mainly, let's uncomplicate it. We're looking for a slide. If the runner chooses to slide, a slide that's a direct line between first and second base. It doesn't pop up into the fielder. It doesn't, with the exception of home plate, does not go beyond the base and make contact with a fielder. It keeps assuming a feet first slide. We don't have a raised leg above the knee of a fielder. Pretty obvious in standard stuff that we're looking for on these slides. Again, there's going to be a very obvious, they slid in a direct line. You can see that on a dirt field, most likely, because you'll see the slide mark. Turf, you won't see that. Obviously, you won't have the mark, but the slide mark helps you a little bit there. You can see when it's directly into the base. You can see when it is into that gray area where it's into the base, but into the kind of the side of the base. And then there's gonna be plenty of times where you're gonna see that runner take, 2-3 steps to deviate out of their path, going towards where the fielder is, and those are the ones we need to be grabbing. With that said, a fielder can slide away from the base if it is also to slide away from where the fielder is pivoting to make that turn to first base. So they don't have to slide into the base if they are going away from the base for the purposes of avoiding the fielder. But let's make sure we get the obvious calls, because those are the ones that'll get you in trouble if you miss those. And let's not get so hyper focused on trying to grab every force play slide that we're missing the more important play at first base, or whatever the continuing action is on that play. And again, if you have a force play slide, the runner who makes the slide is out. The runner from the batter runner going to first is out. And if there's any other runners on base, they're going to go back to where they were at the time of the pitch. Next, we have collisions. Again, 95+% of the time, we're talking about stuff at home plate. A phrase I like to use a lot is that baseball is not a contact sport, but it is also not a non-contact sport. There's going to be plenty of times when both a fielder and the runner are going to do exactly what they should be doing, and they're going to make heavy contact with each other, and it's nothing. Just because there might be a big hit or a big collision does not mean there's necessarily something that needs to be called there. What are we looking for in these collisions? One, and that'll be covered with the obstruction here in a second, does the fielder have the ball? Are they making a legitimate attempt to tag the runner? Is the runner making a legitimate attempt to advance to the next base? And is there malicious contact? What I see a lot when we discuss malicious contact is they immediately look at the runner putting up their arms. And what you need to remember is there are plenty of times where a runner is going to put up their arms in a defensive posture to brace for the impact, not as a way to initiate malicious contact. So don't just look at the arms coming up from their sides. If they're coming up kind of bracing their body in a defensive posture like this, we need to recognize that, as opposed to extending the arms, extending the forearm, dropping the shoulder, leading with the head. Those are things that might indicate that we could have malicious contact, but don't just assume, well, he put his hands up, he put his arms up, that's malicious contact, because there's plenty of times where this is going to be the natural reaction to a potential collision, and this is nothing more than defensive posturing, not being an aggressive manner. So don't just rely on seeing the arms come up. Look for what the arms are actually doing. And is it going to be the shoulder, or the elbow, the forearm, anything like that, pushing, anything like that. But if the arms stay tight like this, let's not just assume it's a malicious contact. With that said, if you do see plate to plate, the potential for a collision as the ball comes in and the runner comes in, if you have a chance to quickly say something to the guys, let's make this good, let's make it legal, something like that. Do that to avoid an injury. You don't want to say anything that might hurt the sporting integrity of that play by trying to coerce someone into letting up on the tag or the slide or whatever. But if there is a way that you can get something stated to the runner, to the catcher, to avoid the illegal collisions, that's good preventive officiating, because now you're going to be looking at an ejection and probably a coach visit, and it's not worth it. If you see the illegal action literally coming down the tracks, we could probably do something to avoid that if you have an opportunity. Obstruction in the high school game. Obstruction is simply a fielder without possession of the ball, impeding the runner's path to the base or around the base paths. In other forms of the game, it could be possession or in the act of fielding. That phrase, in the act of fielding, does not exist in the high school book. So it's very binary. Does the fielder have the ball, or does the fielder not have the ball? If they do not have the ball, they must provide access to the base for the runner. And that means the entire length of the base, not just a third of the base, half of the base. There's no percentage. It's the base. You're going to see that a lot at pickoff plays at first base, where you're going to get the fielder putting their foot along the second base edge of first base, trying to limit access to the base for the runner at first as they slide back in on a pickoff attempt. Be aware of those things. If you can talk to the fielder in advance to avoid making the obstruction call later, that's also good preventive officiating. Remember, in high school, there is no type A, type B obstruction. It's all the same type, which is to say it's a delayed dead ball the obstructed runner is getting a minimum of one base, no matter if the runner is going towards the next base, retreating back to a base. They're being awarded a minimum of one base, potentially more, if that's what you think it takes to nullify the act of the obstruction. And again, it's never going to be a dead ball. It's always going to be delayed dead. Looking at this play here, this is where all these things we just discussed could come into one thing, where you could potentially have a collision, you could have malicious contact, you could have obstruction. As I'm looking at this, again, this could all change in the next three frames of this video or this picture. We're looking at a catcher who may not even be looking that the ball is coming in. It doesn't look like his eyes are following that ball into his glove. So we have a potential that the catcher is not going to have the ball, which would then be obstruction if the catcher doesn't have possession before there's contact between the base runner and the catcher. We most likely have a collision coming up here. Now that collision can be legal. We will have to see what both the catcher and the runner coming down the third base line are going to do. So we have potential for malicious contact. We have potential for obstruction. In high school, if we have both malicious contact and obstruction, the malicious contact is going to supersede the obstruction, and we're going to have the out. But yeah, right here, we have multiple things that could come into play depending on how the next split second between where this photo is taken and what happens after that. Just be aware that all these situations are in there. Now, this question you see here, where,
Danny,
yes,
there's a question that says we know it's a delayed dead ball, obstruction's a delayed dead ball, but if the runner is put out, right?
that's when it's, yeah, at that point, that's when the play has to stop. That ends the moment of the delayed dead.
Right, that was delayed dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah, going back to that, when you have delayed dead ball situation, you are forced to kill the play either A, when a runner is seemingly retired, or B, when all action has ended. Now back to this. We get here. Where is the umpire on this play? Where I would like to see the umpire is almost where this on deck batter is, or he might be a runner that's just previously scored. Most likely the umpire is in first base line extended. The days of using that position have somewhat gone away, or pretty much gone away. What you would like to see is the umpire almost where that extra runner is, over the shoulder of the catcher, being able to see the ball come into the catcher, kind of mimicking what the catcher is going to see. And now you're kind of backpacking or on the hip of the catcher to have the best look of that ball coming into the glove making contact with the runner before the runner gets to the base, or potentially the runner reaching the base before the glove tags the base runner.
Hey, Danny, again, use your arrow to show where you want him to be. I know you want him to be where the runner's at, but you're sort of on the left hip of the left hip of the catcher, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, you'd be on the catch. So basically, where this runner's at, you're almost a step or two into the catcher from there.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, you don't want to be directly on the home plate. That's going to be an issue. But as it's being taught now, if you get, and the phrase I'm hearing a lot is if you're kind of backpacking the catcher on the outside hip of where the catcher is going to receive that ball, that's going to give you the best view of watching the ball come into the glove being swiped into the runner for a potential tag, and then also giving you a good view of when the runner reaches the base in question. So yeah, I think a lot of people, if you've been doing this for a while, you're going to remember third base line extended, first base line extended. Is this going to be a collision play? Is this going to be a swipe play? That kind of thought process has gone out the window, and now we're focusing on getting close to the catcher, over the shoulder, over the hip, because no matter what, that's where the play is going to be, on that hip, on that shoulder, as opposed to being third base line extended, first base line extended, where the play could change on you at the last second. Okay, appeals. Excuse me for a second. The two types of the appeals you're going to see in high school baseball: check swings, miss base, leaving too soon. All these things are going to fall into the same thing. It's one official asking another official for additional information that they may not have seen. Excuse me. Go forward here. On check swing, what you as the official needs to do. One, I don't subscribe to the removing the mask. It's a bit unnecessary. You're going to step out from behind home plate. You're going to step towards the official. It's going to give you help. Again, in a two-man system, that's either going to be your partner in the A position. They're going to be either in the BC. So you're going to step out. You're going to, and this is the important part that a lot of newer officials do not get right, is you're going to point with your left arm across your body. And then as you point to your partner, did he swing? Did he offer? Did he go? Some verbiage like that. What you do not want to do is point with your right arm, because the potential there is, if you're on 2 strikes or whatever, people could read that as being a strike mechanic, and now they potentially think we're at 3 strikes. So that needs to be done with your left arm, because if they see the right hand come up and they don't hear the verbal part of this mechanic, it's an easy opportunity for this to be confused as a strike call. And then a bit of advanced, if it is a potential check swing on strike 3, if you really want to show that your head's in the game, you can come up and ask for that. Did he offer immediately, to avoid the potentially ugly situation of the catcher retrieving the ball and then asking, and then your partner being a little too honest and saying, yes, he went. And now the guy's being struck out 15 seconds after the pitch had concluded. Again, in that situation, as the base guy, I would hope you're not grabbing that as a 3rd strike. Appeals for missing a base or leaving too soon. I think most of us know what a live ball is. A live ball appeal is the beautiful thing in high school, and this is really what I want to drive home here at this point, is high school has what they call a dead ball appeal, which is after the play is concluded, we can put the ball out of play. The player with the ball or the head coach can simply ask the official, we want to appeal the runner missing second base, or whatever the situation is. And at that point, that's a valid appeal. We can rule on it and move on from there. With the dead ball appeal, there's no chance of this being screwed up with a ball being thrown out of play. The uninformed coach that thinks you have to put the balls to go back to the mound, you need to step on and then step off and then throw to the base and all that silly stuff. Take advantage of a dead ball appeal. It's one of the things that high school baseball gives us as a nice tool to avoid confusion, to avoid anything getting screwed up. If you know that appeal is coming, find a reason to put the ball out of play and handle this as a dead ball appeal. It has the potential to save you a lot of grief in the upcoming 30 seconds if something were to go wrong. The other part of this, if you know an appeal is coming, you need eye contact with your partner, and someone needs to be tapping themselves on the chest or whatever signal you've come up with to indicate that, yes, I'm going to take this call on the appeal. Again, that primary responsibility should fall on who has that base or who has that runner in your 2-man mechanics that you discussed in the parking lot before the game. But it's always going to be good in this moment to have that eye contact, someone tap themselves so we know who's taking that call, because the last thing you want is 2 calls on an appeal play, and even worse, 2 calls that are different on appeal play, because now you've just walked straight into what's going to be a massive mess. Box. I don't subscribe a lot to these are the box the plate guy looks for. These are the box that the base guy looks for. If you see a balk, call the balk. Obviously, there's going to be certain balks that are better or easier for the field guy to get, easier for the plate guy to get, but don't limit yourself to, I can only call these balks. See the balk, call the balk. You're going to see here a list of things that are kind of the most common balks that we see in the high school game. Not coming to a complete stop, pretty self-explanatory. Remember, in high school, for the second part, before the pitcher becomes set, they can move those shoulders towards first base or third base as need be to look at the runner. Once they've come set, those shoulders cannot be moving towards a base. The third one here, a left-hander step that is not towards the second half of the first base line. That's, I think, a lot of us refer to as the 45 degree balk or the 45 degree rule. That's going to be something that the plate guys going to have a better look at. It's difficult in a two-man system. I think most of us are aware of that. These type of calls are just going to come with experience, with repetition. I'm a very visual person. When I got into learning baseball, learning box, I think I knew the balk rule inside and out when I first started. I couldn't call balk to save my life, because just taking the words on the page and implementing that into your game, it's a huge jump. So just because you know the balk rule, the next step is then actually being able to recognize it on the field and making that call. And again, this 45 degree balk is one of those things that just comes with experience. I wish I could give you better insights or anything like that that's going to make it easier for you. To me, it just comes down to repetition. And then this fourth one, and this is the one I think that if you go, right there. This is the one I think in the high school game we do a very poor job of getting, and that is the right-hander going to first base, either during this what they call a spin move or a jump turn, where that free foot, the non-pivot foot, the left foot, however you want to describe it, does not gain ground to first base. Furthermore, what we're seeing a lot of is where it's not even a jump turn. They basically pivot on their non-pivot foot, and that free foot has not come off the ground. And that happens a lot. I think we don't get it enough. It can be hard to get if you're not looking for it. That's one of those things where they might get away with it the first time in the game, and then after you've kind of got wise to it, you might be able to get that second one. But again, a step to the base requires a step to the base. If that non-pivot foot is if they're just pivoting on their non-pivot foot, as silly as that sounds, the foot's not come off the ground. That's not a step to the base. At that point, I'm not even really concerned about gaining ground, because we don't have a step to begin with. If I would encourage people in these first couple weeks of the season, look at that. Look at those jump turns to first base by a righty. And I think you'll start to notice, hey, that foot actually didn't come off the ground. That's a balk. That's something we need to get. Hit by pitch. When in doubt, we're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the batter, especially on a ball that comes into the batter's box. Again, there's going to be certain times where it's going to be obvious that a batter has put their forearm, their elbow, their shoulder, their knee, their butt into the pitch. We need to grab those for sure. With that said, we don't want to give the pitcher not credit, we don't want to give them a free pass because they missed the pitch by 18 inches inside the box. They're going to put it inside like that. The pitcher or the batter needs to do something pretty egregious for us not to give them first base on that. If we are keeping a batter at the plate, which I think most of us are going to do multiple times, not necessarily a season, but once or twice a season, and you're going to get used to it. This is one of those moments where if you make this call right, you're going to come off looking better for it. It's time immediately, not dead ball. Please do not say dead ball. Time, hands up over your head. You stay here. You're pointing down at the box. You stay here. You stay here. You stay here. And then you're most likely going to have a ball. If you do have a strike, you're going to indicate that strike immediately. And you're going to need this all in one motion, one well-stated statement, shall we say. You definitely don't want to, break this up into 3 or 4 chunks where you come off looking unsure of yourself. Come out with confidence, big voice, stepping out in front of home plate to really sell this call. And you're going to have a better chance of not having to have a coach visit talk about this, or anyone thinking that you don't know what you're doing because you sold this unique call with authority. Bench decorum, again, something that's probably going slightly downhill in the past few years in the high school game. We really need to do a better job of keeping everyone inside the bench. That includes getting them off the buckets where they kind of straddle the dead ball line between the field and the dugout / bench area. We need to get everyone back inside. I know there's a school that we cover. They have a pretty small dugout, and you usually end up with 1 or 2 guys that want to kind of just linger outside of it. And I get it because they built these dugouts way too small. It doesn't matter. We got to get them back inside. This is one of those things where if we cover this with your warnings early in the game, hopefully they get the message that they need to stay in before you have to start actually restricting guys to the dugout for the rest of the game. We need to do a better job of enforcing basically that sportsmanship code before the game starts. Actions meant to demean opposing players, contestants, spectators, and officials are not in the highest ideal of fairness classic education. And let's follow through with that. If they are saying things or chanting things or doing any sort of organized group activity that is negative towards the other team, we need to step in and cut that down. No objects are to be used as noisemakers. The only thing I really see, I've only seen really in baseball is people want to use their bats and bang them against the fence or against the bench or something like that. We need to cut that out. Weather. Let's make this very simple, guys. I think sometimes we always talk about the weather, and it doesn't need to be. It's pretty straightforward. You see it. You see the lightning. You hear the thunder. It's 30 minutes. Get the guys off the field for 30 minutes. And it's going to continue being from 30 minutes, a new clock every time there's a new clap or a new bolt of lightning. It's not 15 minutes. It's not 25 minutes. It's been 25 minutes. You guys can start warming up here and then we'll get ready in 5 minutes. They stay off the field for 30 minutes. This is one of those things. You're going to get pushback from coaches because they want to get the game going. I understand it. I was that guy for a lot of years that, 30 minutes turned into 20 minutes. And the truth is you get one chance to screw it up and you're done. You get guys back out there early and then something happens. You're going to be facing a law of consequences and they're unnecessary. Wait the half hour. It's not worth risking it. The potential pros of getting out there in 20 minutes do not outweigh the cons if something were to go wrong. You see it, you hear it, get them off the field. Again, it's going to be a half hour from the last clap of thunder, the last bolt of lightning. Game ending procedure. Once the game is started, it will be suspended. If we have an issue with the weather, darkness, or the lights that you think should work all of a sudden do not work, we're going to have a suspended game. Again, an official game in high school is after 4.5 innings. If the home team's winning, 5 innings. 5 innings if 4.5 innings if the home team's leading, and then 5 innings for everything else. If you are in the 4th inning of a close game and it's raining, get the teams off the field. Again, it's not worth the potential safety risk just because you want to get these extra 2 outs in. It's tempting. I've been there. I think we've all been there. I said last night I was on a game that got played over 4 days because the weather just kept screwing everything up. And well, guess what? There was 3 different sets of officials that ended up working this one game over 4 days. That's 4 different, sets of checks that got written for that game. And then it ended up being a 10-run game in whatever the 5th or 6th inning, but it took 4 days to play. That's not a problem. No one is going to give you grief outside maybe the head coach, but in terms of anyone from the PIAA, no one's going to be giving you grief because you acted in the best interest of safety. No one is going to give you issue for that. Not your signer, not Nick, not Lenny, not Andy, no one from the WPIAL. All right. Disagreements, arguments, confrontations, discussions, however you want to phrase this. It's all the same thing. It says here that coaches are entitled to ask for clarifications, explanations. Let me further clarify this statement. Head coaches are entitled to ask for clarifications and explanations if they approach you with respect and do not abuse their privilege. These conversations are between you and the head coach, not the assistant coach, not the scorekeeper, not the pitching coach, or the 5th assistant who they have on the bench. It's none of those guys. It is you and the head coach. Do not try to get into this thing where you're trying to have conversations with this guy about this thing and this other coach about this other thing. They're assistants. They assist the head coach. The head coach speaks for the team. The one thing we're not going to have conversations about is balls and strikes. Cut it down early. They're not coming out of the dugout to talk about it. They are not chirping you from the dugout repeatedly about it. Take care of business. Shut them down. If we do have to talk as a crew to get something right, most likely either when this situation, we'll say a potential rural situation, get together and talk about this. There is no protests in the high school game. What we need to do is get this rule correct. And it's going to be important that we have this conversation, you have an honest conversation about it, and get, if there is a potential rule that you've screwed up or not gone completely correct, that you correct it. With that said, if we're going to have a conversation with the crew, the coach is going back to his dugout or the coach's box, wherever he came from. And with that said, we're going to let him know if the call does not change, you're not coming back out here, because you've already been given an explanation as to what the ruling was, what the decision was. If it's not changing, you do not come back out here. With that said, if it does change, the other head coach is now entitled to an explanation as to what just changed. But yeah, if you don't change your call and they start walking back out towards you, put the hand up, say no, you've already had you've got your explanation, you got your answer, stay there, don't come back out. Again, there is no actual protest in high school. If you need to go to your car to get the rule book, go to your car and get the rule book. Yes, it's not going to look good. I understand that. It will still look better than you not getting this correct. All right, so now we're actually having that confrontation with the head coach. As I kind of described before, this is between the one umpire and the head coach. The other umpire should probably start coming towards the area to have a second set of ears on what's happening, but it does not need to be a 2 versus 1 conversation. You definitely do not want to look as the aggressor in this situation. You're not pointing, you're not shouting, you're not touching the coach, you're not looking aggressive towards the coach in any way. There's going to be a dozen or more camera phones on you when this happens. Let the head coach look like the aggressor. Don't let it be you. The number one thing you're trying to do during a discussion is end the discussion. If it gets to the point where the head coach is walking away, let them walk away. Even if they got the last word in and they think that they got something over on you, whatever. You're getting what you want, which is for the conversation to end. Don't chase after them. Don't do an end one more thing or anything like that. They're walking away, let them walk away. Again, don't go after a coach. Don't follow them. All we want is for them to leave. They're leaving. We're getting what we want. With that said, you need to find what your kind of proverbial line is. If a coach crosses that line, dump them. Let's make it real simple. With that said, if you can get that warning in to a coach, especially about excessive arguing, excessive arguing, you go, Dave, I've heard you a couple times on this. This is the last time I hear you today. If you choose to keep arguing, you will be ejected. Something like that. Now you've put the ball on in their court that they've been told, if you keep going down this path, you're going to be ejected. They can't complain after the fact that they were surprised by the ejection. They may not agree with it, but they can't be surprised by it. If you can get that warning in there, get that warning in there. With that said, if you give the warning, don't let them call your bluff and keep arguing with you and you not eject them. If you give them the warning, follow through if they keep going and eject them. That's all I've got. Of course, as Andy always wants us to remind everyone, call more strikes, call more strikes, call more strikes.
All right, Danny, thank you for that presentation. Now we'll go on to Mr. Dave Moore. Dave is the rules interpreter of East Suburban Umpires. Go, Dave, it's all yours.
All right, thanks, Nick. Great job, Lenny. Great job, Dan. Guys, I'm going to wrap this thing up with a topic called Wear Your Colors Proudly. It's a 3-page completion that Andy put together that's in the chapter guide that's going to elaborate on everything that Lenny and Danny have talked about with some tips to maybe make us better umpires. I want to start off with one of the incorrect theories about officiating is that a good official is never noticed. That's not correct. Do the job correctly and you will be noticed. Look good, look confident, like you want to be there as you're doing the game, approaching the game. Also, wearing your colors proudly also means that you are representing your chapter, your assigner, your partner proudly. Remember, you're at a school that probably in a day or two more umpires are going to come in and do a game, and they're going to have to follow what you did. So set a good example there so that they walk into a good situation. With the cell phones nowadays, just real briefly, we all want to make sure that we're in contact with our partner before the game. We want to know who, we have to know who our partner is, where we're meeting, what position you have, what you're wearing, how you want to do a pregame. Do you know your partner? Do you not know your partner? Never worked with them before. Definitely a couple different pregames are had in those situations. Appearance. Lenny did a great job of describing that. The only thing I want to say is help each other out. Take a look at your partner. Did he miss a belt loop? Is his shirt not tucked in? Does he have something on inside out? Did he forget to put something on? Be the guy that helps your partner out so that both of you look good when you go out there. Positioning. Lenny did a great job of laying out where to be. Do it every time. Get to the spot. Make it look like you know where you're going and you're comfortable there. Communication. When you're out on the field, call your partner by name. Act like you two have worked together many times. Act like you're comfortable together. Little things like that make the crew look a lot better out on the field. Mechanics. Make your calls with good timing, not being too quick with your signals for your voice. The example I like to use for that is if there's a ground ball in the infield and the throw goes to first, that first base umpire has his eye on the bag, his ear on the ball hitting the glove. Once that ball hits the glove, then the eye has to come up and make sure that the first baseman has secured the ball. Then he has to think about what he's just seen, and then he makes the call. So there's never, ever an immediate out call once the ball hits the glove. The first base umpire has to deal with all those things and then makes the call. So we want to make sure that we are doing those things and thinking about what we've seen and doing that in a very comfortable, slow fashion, and that you look comfortable doing it. It is not always necessary to use your voice. If it's a very clear out, just a good strong signal, and then from a good position, you hustle to that position, even though it's going to be a very routine play. And then once the play's over, you just very strong, put that arm up very high and make the out call and then go back to your position. Same with the safe. If he's safe, it's a very nice, easy, safe call. And then you go to the next position that you would be in. It's also not necessary to use your voice on a foul ball or a ball that's or foul ball that is clearly a foul ball. Nobody has to say a word on anything like that. Remember that when you on a close foul ball, you either point fair with no voice or you kill the play. Time. You do not point. You point on a fair ball. You do not point on a foul ball. You just call time. All right. Eye contact. I believe that it is very important that the home plate umpire has excellent eye contact with the base umpire. If the base umpire is going out, even though the base umpire should be saying that I'm going out and calling his partner by name, I'm going out, Jim. The home plate umpire may not hear that. He still has to find the base umpire, find out where he's going, and then that dictates where he's going. Is he going out to make the call on the fly ball, or is he going to have the bases because his partner went out? The same thing is happening whenever the ball is going down the line and the home plate umpire is watching his partner in the B and C, and all of a sudden the ball goes to the line, and he starts telling him, "I'm on the line. I got the ball." Good communication, good eye contact, and both partners know where they're at when they're working together like that. Points for the plate umpire. Develop a consistent strike zone. Anybody that's ever worked with me behind the plate knows that every night is a different challenge. I never know if I'm high, low, tight, loose. But once you get there and once you get settled in, then that's where you have to stay for the night. Get your zone wherever you're at that day, and then be consistent with that zone through the entire game. One of the things I think that's very important is good ball rotation techniques. For example, if a batter fouls off the ball, don't let that ball go back to the pitcher. You want to give that ball to the pitcher out of your bag, and then you want to retrieve that ball. It looks good because you're looking at that ball. Was it ripped? Was it tore? Anytime the ball would hit a dugout or a backstop that's made out of brick or anything like that, you don't want that catcher grabbing that ball and putting it in play without you seeing it. And the best thing to do is just give the catcher another ball, and then get that ball, take a quick look at it, and then move on from there. Also, make sure that the on-deck batters are getting the foul balls. And if they're not, you need to talk with them and talk to your catcher. Have a good working relationship with your catcher. And then a little pet peeve of mine is know where your baseballs are coming from. I think one of the things that really hurts us out there when we want to look like we're in control of the game is begging for baseballs. It's very important, I believe, that we find out early when in the pregame who's giving you your balls, how you let them know, how they're going to get them to you, so that you always have baseballs and nobody's ever standing there looking at us trying to get baseballs to get that game going. If we've got that under control, it looks like we're in control of the game. Also, your plate. Make sure your plate is clean. Don't let the catcher clean it. Don't let the batter clean it. You clean it. Make sure that you having understanding with your catcher, a good relationship with your catcher, and that he knows that is your responsibility, and that is something that you need to work with him on. All right, and then lastly is game control. I wouldn't say lastly, but game control. After you read the PIAA sportsmanship statement, I think that this year, more than ever, it's come to clear to me that this is about the third year, I believe, that we really haven't had any rule changes, and they've all been enforcement of rules and things of that nature. So we are no longer just umpires. We are game managers, and we need to manage these games and be able to take care of all the situations that are things that aren't outs, balls, strikes. 90% of the game out there, guys, takes care of itself. We're there to administrate that 10%, that forced play slide rule, bench decorum, players talking to each other, things of that nature. So we need to make sure that we know what to do in those situations, how to handle those situations, what the rule is for those situations, and do it quickly and professionally. Lastly is the movement of the game. I believe that we need to speed this game up and to get in and out of there quicker, because that's one of the biggest things that everybody talks about is get these teams in and out of the dugouts in between innings. And let's make sure that we get a pitcher on the mound and a catcher back there and the pitcher throwing the ball. When that's happening, we seem to have players get in and out quicker. If that pitcher's not on the mound and he's not throwing the ball, then the position players don't seem to get in and out of the dugout very quickly. And that's what we want to do. So let's make sure that we stay on top of that. And then lastly is camaraderie. Guys, there shouldn't be anybody out there you don't want to work with, and there shouldn't be anybody out there that you don't want to help. And there shouldn't be anybody out there after the game that doesn't look at each other and say, do you have anything? You know, do you have anything for me? Do you have anything that I'm doing? Have I developed a bad habit? You know, can you help me with something? You know, do I look bad doing something? None of us is more important than the game, and us looking proper and professional out there is very, very important to both us and the game and our partners. So with that, guys, let's make sure we have a great season. Call strikes, and thank you. Back to you, Nick.
Dave, thank you very much. In closing, guys, I want to thank you for your time. We got it done a little bit quicker tonight. I want to thank Dan, Dave, and Lenny. I want to thank Bill for being the person around the presentation. Guys, have a fun season this year. Call strikes. Have a fun season. Call strikes. And if there's anything you ever want to, because if there's anything you want to know, please call me. I know you all know you all know have my cell phone number. By all means, if anything I can do to help you, look for those guys we can get out of the weeds to get umpires. All right. Any questions from the group, guys? Again, thank you for your time. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dan, for putting you on the presentation. And I'll close by stating this, please call strikes. Nobody wants to see people walking around the bases. If you get 10 more strikes a game, your game just might go, 5 or 10 minutes faster. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.